Hi, I'm Mike Browne, an internationally recognised photographer and trainer. This tutorial is an excerpt from my Masterclass in Photography online course. If you like my teaching, click the top right of your screen at any time to get 7 more completely free lessons from the 105 which make up the course. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Isn't that a great shot? Look, we've got Alex, she's standing at the railing looking at the view. We've got the sea moving behind her. So how about freezing or blurring it? Let's make our shutter speed our primary exposure control. We're going to work with shutter speed and then bring the others into line so that we can then get the correct exposure. We're also going to have to do something a little bit fiddly when it comes to movement. First off, let's freeze the movement. There's a lovely wave behind Alex right now, and of course it will probably be gone when we come to take the shot. First off, we need to get our exposure. You can see it's very dark. Now, what sort of shutter speed? A 500th will probably freeze the movement of those waves. How do I know that? Purely experience. This is why you have to practice these things. A 500th of a second at this distance should freeze any movement in those waves. So I've chosen it. Next, let's get our exposure. The aperture is currently on f16. That means we've got plenty of depth of field from here out to sea. We're not going to get a fully blurred background, and that's what I want. So I'm going to play with my ISO to get the exposure. Look, as we increase the ISO, the light meter is creeping up slowly, slowly, slowly. There we go, the correct exposure. Let's put our focus point on Alex, focus the camera, and there we go. I think you can see that the waves are frozen. So now let's have a go at blurring it. The effect will be nice and creative, because any movement in Alex's little wobbly hat on the top and in her coat, if that moves in the breeze, that's great because it'll record as a bit of a blur, as will the water behind her. So what sort of shutter speed are we going to want? Well, first of all, let's just take our shutter speed down. Picture's getting brighter because the tap's on longer. I'm going to go to 1 second and we'll see what we can get. I'm going to go to f22 and look, it's still very bright, isn't it? That's because the ISO, our skin sensitivity, is very high. So we'll bring that down Browne, not up, and see where we go. 200 ISO is as low as I can go and it's still overexposed, so we're going to have to lose some light a different way. All right, at the beginning, I happen to mention filters right at the start of the course. The neutral density filter, the sunglasses for your camera. We're going to lose some light. If I just pop this over you for a moment, look how dark it suddenly becomes. We are removing tons of light. So I'm going to slide that into the front of the camera and you will see as it goes in how it darkens the shot. Look, we're sliding that in. Look at that. It's almost brought our exposure to the right place, hasn't it? Let's check. The light meter says it's about right, maybe a little dark. So I'm going to increase the ISO just a touch. There we go, and that says it's correct. That gives me 1 second. Let's take it. Look at that. Look at the difference. You see how the waves have blurred. There's movement in that shot. Now, what if we wanted to make more movement? Well, we just need to make it a longer exposure, don't we? We need to leave the tap on for longer so that the waves can move more. How can we achieve that? There's the B setting on your camera. Most cameras have it, B for bulb. That means as long as you're holding the shutter button down, the shutter stays open. Now 1 second gave us some movement. Let's double the amount of movement by doubling the length of time we turn the tap on for. So what are we going to have to do? We're going to have to change our exposure a bit, aren't we? So we're going to go for 2 seconds. That means we need to make the ISO a little higher, I think. Let's make it to 400. Now, this is very much guesswork. It is trial and error. Let's try this. You will see a little timer in my camera. That seagull would have been fun, wouldn't it? Here we go. 1, 2 seconds, let it go. Look at that, we've got some gorgeous milky creamy movement in the water. So we're using our shutter speed as the primary exposure control so that we can manage movement in our shot. This takes practice. It's a skill like anything else. You just got to go out and play with it. And let's face it, it's fun, isn't it?